Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to have a chat with you about making friends at planner conferences. This is the first in a series of real talk about planner conferences, and what I'm planning to do is come to you possibly weekly, possibly bi-week, every other week. Um, and talk about some of the questions that are frequently asked in our community. And I thought I would start with how to make friends because that is one of the most frequent questions I see anytime a planner conference is brought up. Is the question, it's usually phrased something like, I'm an introvert, should I really go by myself? Am I going to be by myself all the time? Will I make friends? Etc. Some form of that particular question. And so what I've done is I put a few notes together in my Lystrum. And because this is such a frequent topic, I thought it would be appropriate for the first in this series. And anytime you see this question posted in any of the groups, a typical response is that when you go to a planner conference, you never go alone, and you're going to find your best friend there. And while that is true for a lot of people, it's not as simple as just showing up. There's work involved in forming those friendships, and that's what I want to talk about today, because you hear, oh, you'll just go and you'll have a great time. You will, and I promise you'll have a good time for the most part, but you have to be prepared. You can't just show up and think that your best friend is going to be meeting you in the lobby without doing any work yourself. So first I want to talk about, I do have notes. So this video and this whole series isn't specific to any one planner conference. I'm going to a few this year. I'm taking some friends with me, some I'm not, some I'm going on my own. I went to my first planner conference at Go Wild Austin, which was 1,300 people. And a big leap for somebody who is generally an introvert who gets exhausted from too many people. And I will talk about my experiences in Austin, and I also went to Go Wild Vegas. I've attended a couple of Sugary Ale Shop conferences in New York City, and it's through all of those experiences I have some tips. I have some helpful hints on what you can do to make that experience the best for you. So, my first conference, as I said, was Austin. Now, when you go to just about any conference of any kind of size, from a couple of hundred up to, Go Wild that's over 1,000, I think they're up. I'm not sure how many are scheduled or tickets available for Anaheim, but I know that Vegas we were about 1,400, and they said they were going to keep it pretty close to that, so I would expect 1,500 for Anaheim. That's a lot of people. And with something like Go Wild, people have been going to this for years. Now, there were 2 Go Wilds before my first one. So you already had a lot of people who already knew each other, and that can be very intimidating as an introvert, as anyone really. But a couple of things that I did that helped that experience. First of all, most of these conferences have a ticket holders group that is only people who have purchased tickets to the conference. So you are talking to people that you potentially could meet at the conference. And the ticket holders group typically opens up after tickets start to sell. And I did participate in the Austin group, but not as much as I did in the Vegas group. One of the things that helped me in Austin was there was a post in there for people traveling, what time you were arriving and what time you were leaving the airport. And so by putting my information in there and saying, hey, I'm going to be arriving at 2 o'clock on Wednesday, I think it was, I don't remember. I was fortunate to have someone reach out and say, hey, we're putting together a group to get a shuttle. Do you want to come with us? So that was really the first friend I made at a conference, was meeting Christina online when she reached out to me and said, hey, I'm putting the shuttle together. Do you want to come with us? So that was great. And then for Austin, they ran out of hotel rooms, so I wound up staying off-site, which put me at a little bit of a disadvantage because I wasn't there all the time. But again, as an introvert, that was helpful because I had sort of an escape from all those people. And the other thing was talking to people standing in line. I have met many people standing in line, some of whom I've continued to be friends with, to talk to, some of whom, were just fleeting, fun moments. And with Go Wild specifically, the team puts together its own app, and you can post just about anything, and people are looking at the app during the conference. And what I did was, when I didn't want to go and have dinner by myself, now I'm pretty independent, so I kind of enjoy going out to dinner, taking myself out to dinner, which I know is a little weird. But so I didn't share every meal with people, but when that first or second night, I posted in the group, hey, I'm in the lobby and I'm looking to go here for dinner. Does anybody want to join me? And a few minutes later, somebody posted, yeah, I'm ready for dinner, and came down and we went out to dinner together. I did that a few times in Austin. And from Austin, I came home with people that I knew, that I recognized, that I was friendly with. Excuse me. But not anybody that you hear these stories. I talk to this person every day. I had a wonderful experience, and I still talk to some of the people that I met in Austin, but it wasn't that necessarily a planner bestie like you hear about. What I did do was, when I came home from Austin, was because it was such an incredible experience, I wanted to hang out with planner people more, because at that point I had no planner people in my life. And so I put out to our local group, hey, let's go meet up for coffee. And have found several local people who I am really good friends with now from planning. So my next experience was Vegas. Actually, my next experience was in SGS, but we'll get back to that in a minute. Vegas, I treated that a little differently. Where I was participating in the ticket holder group in Austin, I wasn't really initiating a lot of conversations. I was mostly responding and commenting on posts. In the Vegas group, I put myself out there a lot more by posting questions and posting plans I was making and looking for feedback. I will admit that when Vegas was announced, I wasn't thrilled. I thought that I had some very, very specific preconceived notions about what Vegas was, and I had to do a lot of travel research to find a lot of things that I wanted to do. So I am not somebody who likes to party. I don't like loud bars. I don't like any of that. You know, your typical introvert. What I do enjoy is history and museums and art. And what I found for Vegas was, I think I wound up with a total of 7 museums that I went to. But what I did was, I was going to be in Vegas for a week. I put together a plan and I posted it to the group and said, hey, all you locals, take a look at this. Am I being reasonable? What adjustments would you make? And I got a lot of interaction on that. And then there was the Neon Museum had a light show that I really wanted to go to. And I put that out to the group and said, I'm planning on going to this at this time, at this place. Does anybody want to join me? And it was from that, putting out my very specific interest to the group, that I really found the people that I connected the most with. Because we shared beyond planning, we shared a common interest in history and a common interest in theater and art. And so that really was the first time that I met somebody online and then in real life that I now talk to at least once a week, if not just about every other day, who I do consider one of my best friends from the planner community. And then I've been to, so SGS is a much smaller conference. There's like, I don't know, a couple hundred people. And so you would think that that would be easier, that you would make more friends that way. And again, while I've made some friends, it wasn't the same connection. And that's going to happen. You're going to go and you might find somebody that you have a lot in common with that you want to talk to every day, and you might not. And that's perfectly normal. The second SGS I went to was one where I was taking some friends from my local group with me who hadn't been to a conference before, and we hung out a lot together. And from that, I mean, these are girls that I definitely attribute going to conferences as why we're friends. But because we went and did our own thing and had an awesome time, I don't know that I made really close friends outside of my little group. Which, again, was an experience that I was happy with. So that's kind of my history with planner conferences. So now I've got a list of tips on what you can do to make friends and what to expect from that experience. So my first tip is, when that ticket group opens, be active. Respond to posts. If somebody posts that they are doing something outside the conference that really interests you, contact them. It's scary. It's, a little intimidating, but I strongly encourage participating in the ticket holders group. Because once you get to the conference, it's much harder to make friends than if you have done that prep work. The second thing, in addition to just being active, my second tip is to post your plans. To go into, and if there's not an app like Go Wild, the ticket holders group will still be open, and I promise you people will be on their phones and checking Facebook. And so you can go in and say, hey, I'm going to dinner and I'd love for somebody to join me. And there's a strong chance that somebody will respond. Number 4. So the first one was be active. The second one was post your plans. The third was post that you're looking for somebody to have a meal with. So the fourth one is about groups. So you walk in and there's this cluster of people and there's like 3 or 4 people talking together, and that can be really intimidating as somebody who's going to their first conference, who's never been through this experience before. Sometimes those groups will be looking and will invite you to talk with them if they see you alone, but not always. What you want to do is you want to look for that other person who is standing around looking awkward and not with a group. Go talk to that person. They're feeling just like you are, and chances are they want to talk to you. One thing that I didn't mention about my basic Vegas experience is that really made a huge difference in my experience that I'm not necessarily recommending was I started this channel. I had been posting videos just to the ticket holders group, and you know how things get lost on Facebook. Like, you post a video and 2 days later you can't find it. So it was suggested to me by a few people that my tips were very helpful and that I should start a YouTube channel. And starting the YouTube channel and posting these videos definitely made a difference. In Vegas, I would say 75 to 100 people came up to me, which is a shocking number and so overwhelming, and thanked me for that packing video that you may have seen earlier in my video list. That made a huge difference in my comfort level because people were coming up to me. So, and it was overwhelming, and if you ever see me at a conference and you've seen one of my videos, please come up to me. I'm just so thrilled when that happens. And so you might not be ready to open your own YouTube channel or Instagram or whatever, but when you see somebody like me at a conference, don't be afraid to go up to them. Not every YouTuber, influencer, whatever you want to label people, are going to be in a place that they are open to meeting people. You know, if somebody is, but at least for me, I am always ready to talk to people who have watched this channel. So my next tip is to know yourself. Go Wild, for example, has a welcome party and Plan Jamma. And at least one of those parties has a karaoke aspect to it. And Plan Jamma is an open bar. And it's loud, and there's lots of music, and lots of people. And I know for myself that that's not necessarily the environment that I am most comfortable in. Now in Austin, we had at both the welcome party and the Plan Jamma an area that was quiet, that the introverts could hang out, the old people who weren't interested in this partying aspect, and just talk. So that was great. So even though that wasn't something that I am necessarily comfortable with, I was glad that I went. So this is kind of a two sides of the coin kind of advice. I want you to put yourself out there and go and try these things that you don't think that you're comfortable with. But if you get there and you're not having a good time, grab that person who was sitting off in the corner and say, hey, let's go grab a slice of pizza, or go back to your room. It's okay to not want to partake in every single aspect of the conference. And that brings me to my last bit. Don't feel like you are some kind of a failure if you don't make that best friend. It'll happen eventually. I believe that. I believe if you keep putting yourself out there, and you will find somebody with interests that you get along with, that you just click with immediately. They're out there. But it's not going to be necessarily every time. And so be comfortable with yourself. That is probably the biggest piece of advice, is to know who you are and be comfortable in your own skin. Being comfortable with who you are will allow you to do the things that you want to do, and to know when to step back, and to know kind of where to put yourself, which is hard. I totally get that that's, you're going to be uncomfortable. You're going to feel awkward. But if you are comfortable in your own skin, that awkwardness is a little easier to handle. So, I hope that this video was helpful. My next few conferences, I am going to be at the Chicago Planner Conference at the end of February. I'm still deciding on Go Wilds. And after that, I will be in New York City at the New York Planner Expo in July. So, and several others in the New York, Toronto area. If you see me, please come up to me, say hello. I would love to meet you. And again, if you have not already, please subscribe to my channel, give this a like, tell all your friends, and I will see you next time. Thank you.